Well, good afternoon to all of you who might be out there and would like to join us live, but we'll certainly be chatting to various people who want to join in on the show and send in some comments. And as we pick up some listeners and viewers, we will then decide how we're going to go ahead with the show. But the show is going to be a pretty much ad hoc, come as you may show where I'm going to discuss various things that have happened in the last week or so and give you some ideas of my thoughts on all of these things. Well, the big talking point was the Vodacom Durban July draws and weights being published and the final field being published, and just having a look at the final field and the draws. The usual suspects are there. It's horrible to see Do It Again as number 18 in the card when he is the dual last 2 years winner and the defending champion. He should be number one. And I spoke to Devin Heffer last week about this. And what amazes me is that you just don't get any sort of, hello, Matty Beast, all's good. You don't get any sort of feedback as to the suggestion you make. I know they're intent on having the numbers and the draws the same. Now, I gave him a scenario which I thought would be very much to their advantage to keep this color-coded draw system, because it's good. We can't say that we don't like it. We like the colors on the front of the stalls, like the matching saddle cloth colors. But then the numbers should be, the horse's number should be in order of his value in the race, whether it be his merit rating, or if it's one of those wait for age races, the best horses get the best numbers, the top numbers. And when you think of it logically, you have 18 numbers or 16 numbers, numbered cloths, different number cloths, one being the number that it is, the color that it is, 2, 3, 4, so on, all different colored number cloths according to the draw. What you need to do then is put the number of the horse on in race card number order and weight number order. So then Do It Again should actually be the 18 saddle cloth with number 1 on his saddle cloth. He should be number 1, and he should be number 1 in the race card, drawn 18. That's how it should be. It makes perfect sense. It certainly gets away from the problem that the whole of KwaZulu-Natal racing is facing, in that no one, and I mean none of the purists or people who like racing actually enjoy having the same number for the horse as the same weight cloth number and draw number. So you want to keep the draws with their number, their colors, and this, and I think it's fabulous. But now put the right number on the horse and run the race card order in the order of best horse to worst horse in the race card, whether it be in a maiden plate or whether it be in a wait for age race or a merit rate race. We are not America. They race in very small fields, and they have a whole different set of circumstances as far as their handicapping is concerned. They have very, very few actual handicaps. So that's my gripe as far as the draws are concerned, and I really think it's a shame. And George Stark wrote in Turf Talk. He wrote a very, very interesting article about this, and what he said about it made perfect sense. He didn't have the answer. I've always believed if you're going to criticize something, you've got to have an answer. That's the answer, and the answer makes perfect sense. I really think Devin and Graham Hawkins, and I know Graham was one of the big ones behind putting this together. Look at it, admit there's a problem. This is a problem. Fix the problem. It's so simple to do. You can keep your draw numbers with the colors of the number cloth but the horse's number should be put onto the saddle cloth as his number in the race card, and that makes it easier for everyone. Right, let's see what else. The Scottsville track. It's patently apparent that the Scottsville track was not properly maintained in the time that they've had off. And when you think that they've had a handful of races in the last 6 months, there is no reason why that track, and certainly the standside track, which is what they raced on, should have been in pristine condition. And certainly the first 5 or 6 meters, the racing surface of the track should have been looked after. That track has not been looked after properly. The track manager is at fault. The track manager has a manager over and above him who seems to be the whole of Gold Circle, okay? He is at fault. Stand up and accept the blame instead of saying, oh, well, that was patchy conditions or patchy racing conditions or this. It's rubbish. Start taking the blame, people. This is wrong. We cannot lose race meetings because of incompetence. I've said to them for years, the best track managers are not working the tracks. Guy like Bradford Smith, he's out of Qatar now. He should be put in charge of tracks throughout South Africa. That's my feeling. And I know I've worked with him since he started as a track manager. He's the most diligent, well-liked, hard-working man you'll see. He'd be on the tractor if he hasn't got a tractor driver, Bradford Smith. And he built a race course that is world-renowned from nothing, with the best grass track in the world, okay? And they race sand mainly there. But he built the best grass track in the world in the bloomin' desert, okay? So put him in charge of all the tracks in South Africa when this new race co is put together, and say to him, you run the track management. We don't want to have any of these problems again. Matty, I'll come back to the July any moment. So track at Scottsville, disaster. MJ Baileyford wrote in Sporting Post, and he's quite right what he wrote. The jockey, we don't want to see jockeys injured. We'd hate to see a horse injured. But we have got to be able to race. So someone must take the blame. And I don't believe the jockeys should be taking the blame. And I certainly don't believe the horses should be taking the blame, because they are willing participants. But the track manager should be for the high jump. It's a shocking, shocking indictment on the racing industry to have 5 millimeters of rain, a few drops of rain, and Scottsville gets called off. That's my say. Take heed and listen. People ask why I'm entitled to carry on and criticize. Well, I'm entitled to because I spent my whole life doing this business. I've traveled worldwide extensively. I have done every facet of this industry, including marketing. I did marketing for Gosforth Park for a couple of years, and we certainly ran a really good ship and were extremely well received by trainers and owners alike, who, as far as I'm concerned, are the main on-course players, the main participants as far as contributing concerned have got to be the punters. They keep putting their money in and week out. The tote facilities are shocking. The totes are not in a very good shape. They haven't been looked after. And I think that the punting public certainly is not well looked after. Right. Let's talk about the Vodacom Durban July gallops. Well, Justin Staith bought a slew of horses. Now, a little bit of inside information for those of you that don't know. Justin asked Gold Circle if he could, and this is third hand, this is not from the horse's mouth, this is third hand, if he could have a horse float for his own horses so that they were interspaced. And they were turned down. He was turned down. Now, my goodness gracious, for a man who's paying that type of nomination fees, who's making our season, accede to his request to send his own float to the gallops. He's sending horses to the gallops so that they can gallop, so that they can be seen by the rest of the world or the country. And he's not allowed to have his own horse, his own float, paid for by the club. So he paid for his own float himself, cost him 7,500 Rand. When you think of the nominations acceptance fees that he's paid, it is a disgrace not to actually allow Justin Snaith to send 5 July runners down to the races. And he sent all the companions as well. So it's basically like sending a float. It made absolutely no sense. talking about Gold Circle, apparently they've formed a committee now to look at this 200 million or whatever the amount is. And the committee is, and this is third hand too, Gary Grant, ex-equine boy. Apparently his brother was in charge of the money when it was first invested. We'd love to know what happened to that money and how the investment went. So Gary's involved there. Richard McGilligan. Now, you know, Richard McGilligan was a long-time steward and a man who certainly took a lot of flack with his handling of Clearwood sale of Clearwood, and certainly as far as other things are concerned. And Michelle Narak, who's the CEO. So if you want to have a really unbiased bunch of people that are involved in this whole process, you certainly do not have them there. But well done to Gold Circle for putting themselves in a position where they're going to look at themselves and discuss how they do things and then tell everyone that they do things perfectly. So let's move on. NHRA, well, they're at it again. This whole jockeys situation where the protocols with the jockeys are untenable and certainly hold no sort of evidence. They definitely quiet as normal. We had them under the spotlight the last couple of weeks. They were definitely quiet. I'm going to send them a letter in the next week or so asking them to answer a few questions as far as Lyndon Barnes was concerned. So NHRA, Moodley and Heidi, Arnold, you better be ready to answer the letter. I'm a life member of your operation. I deserve to be treated with respect, and I will send you a letter asking you respectively to answer me the questions as far as Lyndon Barnes is concerned, because there are a number of questions that need to be answered. Not only his court records as far as his sequestration was concerned, but more importantly, what type of package he was paid and why he was paid a package at all. Zim racing. It's incredulous, okay, that Zim racing cannot be shown on Teletrack. I cannot understand it. I have no words to describe. These people have absolutely grafted through the worst possible conditions to keep the show on the road. They are true lovers of racing. There are some fantastic people in Zim who are still breeding horses. And why Teletrack would decide not to put it on when they want to have, as someone said quite rightly in Sporting Post, they want to have Swedish kart racing all day, every day. They want to have the robbery park from Australia. They want to have all these type of things. Hello, Vivek. Nice to have you on the board. It's not possible for me to fathom why you wouldn't want to support Zim racing and try and get money through their totalizator to help them pay whatever stakes they pay and try and keep their show on the road. It's always been a fantastic racing nation. I've had some wonderful times up there, and I'm really, really sad to see that Pumalela and Teletrack, who are brothers in arms, would end up doing such a dastardly deed as not to put them on the television. Put them on for 5 minutes, show their race. It's better than watching something at Lingfield, and they turn over more money than they do at Lingfield as well on a poly track with a lower rated handicap horses. It just doesn't make any sense. And talking about Teletrack, why is the picture so bad? Well, they'll tell you whatever they like, and they keep saying that they've got problems from overseas and with the feed, with the Teletrack feed. It's all this. This is what I'm told. It's all to do with bandwidth, and our bandwidth is not the correct bandwidth to be putting on high resolution HD pictures. Okay, if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. I'll accept that. But I hear that the cheap bandwidth that Teletrack could buy or pay for or whatever is the problem and why we have a bad picture. I've been watching cricket, soccer, rugby from Australia. I mean, you get a wonderful picture. Why should we on Teletrack be getting a rubbish picture? Alan Laird, when you're going to talk about the coupling and the pick sixes. Listen, I've always been a fan of the pick sixes having couplings. I do believe that they should have couplings. I think it's shockingly wrong that they don't have couplings. So that's my feel on that. Hi, James. Why don't you try and get Graham Hawkins on your show to answer some questions? I would love to have Graham Hawkins. He has an open invitation. He's a great friend of mine, and he knows he has an open invitation. But I feel that they really aren't prepared to answer some of the questions that I'm prepared to throw. I know that we had this problem when we did Winning Ways, and Gold Circle sponsored it, and that's why we have our own show, okay, which is unabridged, unbiased, absolute facts as far as I can gather. Sometimes there's a bit of embellishment, but anything's got to be embellished to have a bit of fun. Right, now you guys are all talking about the July. Okay, before I go into the July, Natalie Turner was named the CEO of the Racing Association. Now, here shows a little bit of the changes that might be coming. And I'll tell you, I'll answer your question, Alan, now. What was fabulous about this, I don't know Natalie Turner, but if she walked past me, I wouldn't know her, okay? But I'm a life member of the Racing Association as well, and I think Brian Riley and his team have looked at all the candidates, and they've probably picked out the best person for the CEO. But what I really liked was at the end of the July, the Racing Association is going to put on their website the package that will be paid to Natalie Turner. So we will know it is transparent. Now, let's go from there. The NHRA should tell us the packages that are paid to V. Moodley, Arnold Hyde, the stipendiary stewards, everyone. We should all have knowledge of those packages. We fund the NHRA. We, us horse owners and people that pay for colors and authorities to act and all the registrations, and the clubs who get their money through turnovers, okay, fund the NHRA. We're entitled to know who gets paid what. And I demand we get to know that. Phumelela, we need to know who gets paid what as far as Phumelela is concerned. Certainly people in positions that affect the racing have got to be, you've got to be transparent. You know, it's a no-brainer. Then you have all the other bunch that are involved in racing. No one knows anything. And why shouldn't they know? Why shouldn't we know who gets paid what? Everyone else knows, and every other company knows who gets paid what and why they get paid and what performance bonuses they get paid and if they're entitled to, and the members should be entitled to be able to go to AGMs and say, you can't pay this guy a performance-based bonus, he's not worth it. Right, team, we're all getting on the July. Alan Laird, the first thing I can tell you is that they removed the pick six couplings because they wanted bigger payouts. Who knows whether that's right or wrong? I believe it's wrong. I think pick six couplings should apply. I know in America, they talk about they love American racing and this and that and the other. If two horses from the same stable run, they call 1 and 1A, and you get paid out if both of them win. Either of them win. It doesn't matter which ones win. Okay, now let's have a look at what these teams have got to say. These guys are going golden ducket, chance in my eyes. Got the green light, Bulgarian. You boys are going for all the same old. Well, I'll tell you what, this July, pretty simple. It is absolutely simple. And I'll tell you why it's absolutely simple. The best weighted horse is probably Bulgarian. And I'll tell you why. Because if I was in charge of the NHRA, I would have had 3 inquiries into that horse's running and riding so far. I mean, Bulgarian is way better than his merit rating, from what I can gather. Okay, I think that he's probably, as a 4-year-old, been set up for this race. They've only had this race in mind for over a year, and this is where he is going, and he's in there. As a horse has been properly set up with a weight. The draw is a factor, okay? And certainly the way he's been raced, he might not like 18 horses jostling him. The big horses are Rainbow Bridge, Do It Again, and Vardy. Those are the big three. Do It Again. He's always got to be there. But can he win it again? I'm not really sure about that. Rainbow Bridge, he's got everything in his favor, including the draw. Okay, so he really comes into this race with a fabulous chance. And Vardy, well, the jury's out on him still. I'm not convinced. I think that he might be high in the handicap, and I'm sure that Vivek might be right that he might not get the distance. Anton Marcus rides Do It Again. That is a huge, huge runner. Twist of Fate, he's got to have a chance, Twist of Fate, and I would think he's a money horse, but he's another one that I'm not sure stays. But there will be a pace, Matty Beast. I'm absolutely certain there'll be a pace. Justin Snaith's filly will go to the front, and the horse Padre Pio, that will probably be right up there too, and certainly won't be hanging around with bottom weight or with a low weight. So I think there'll be a pace. To me, the right horse has got the green light. If you look back in the past, over the last 5 or 6 or 7 years, you've been tipping horses that are 3-year-olds that have had 56, 57 kilos and got the green light, got 53 kilos. He's won 3 Group 1s, team. I mean, this horse is a proper racehorse. He should have won the Derby. The jock let him go 200 yards too early. If Muzi Yeni sits on give me the green light till the 400-meter mark and follows him through till the 400 and lets him go, he's got 3 lengths to go, it's no race. That's my feeling. There's only, you know, you can say that in his age group, he's only good in his age group, but he hasn't been exposed to the rest. And that's why I think Joey Soma's been so clever, is that he hasn't been exposed, so they've got to rate him on the 3-year-olds. And as a result, he gets 53. If he had been against the big horses, he would have had 56 or 57. I don't believe you got to like Golden Ducket if you like Give Me the Green Light. Why would you got to like him? Give Me the Green Light's better than him. There's no doubt in my mind that Give Me the Green Light is better than him. He's better than him at the weights. There's absolutely, it's not even a discussion. But Golden Ducket has got the draw. That's in his favor. What are the rest? I think that the biggest outsider, the best outsider, is the Andre Null runner, Capoeira, or whatever it's called. That might be the biggest, the best outsider. De Mello, I thought, was going to ride that, but he's now ended up on Snaith's filly, and I would think he will try and dictate from the front. Vivek, if Golden Ducket runs a place, you won't gamble for a month. I wouldn't make statements like that because, you know, we love our gambling and there's no way you're going to not gamble for a month. Team, I don't know. All I can say, gave you 5-1 a place on Ducket. Would you take that? I think that you can get 5-1 if you go and ask nicely, certainly about the first 3. I don't know. Anyway, I agree with Vivek. To me, Give Me the Green Light's the best 3-year-old in South Africa by a country mile. He's shown that he is. And as I say, go back in history and look at what the 3-year-olds carried. And they started favorite, these horses, and they all ran there. This horse has got 53. He hasn't got 56 or 57. He's got 53. In fact, there's a horse a couple of years ago, I think they backed with 58 on its back in the July. And it ran pretty close. I said he can never had a snowball's hope. I said he can never win a July with 58 kilos as a 3-year-old. This horse is, I mean, he's nearly a stone in better than any other 3-year-old has for the last, I think, 7 or 8 years. I'm not sure when the last 3-year-old won the July. I haven't actually gone into it because it's too early still for me. But my initial thoughts are, that it's between Bulgarian and Give Me the Green Light. I really think that those are the 2 horses. and I've explained why I think that. What we'll do is next Friday, we'll see if we can have a little telephone discussion with someone that really knows about handicapping and discuss the July on a basis that with someone that really would give you a very good idea if the thought processes about how you back horses in the July are correct. I don't know what else there is that we should be discussing. I don't think that there's much else. And I really appreciate you guys coming on the show, and I hope you've enjoyed it. And all I can say is have a great weekend's racing. This KZN race meeting on Sunday, very interesting. You must listen to my preview. It's on the Winning Way show here. I'll send the link out, and you can please share it with all your mates and ask them please to subscribe. We need subscribers. We're starting to just pass the 700 subscriber mark. I need to get to 1,000. That's where it starts getting interesting, this whole show, and how we are able to then put out the things and start doing the things that I want to do with the show, which is going to be interactive and certainly give the racing public a chance to get involved in what's going on. There you are. Marcus Unstoppable at Gravel. Well, that's why Do It Again's got to have a chance. He doesn't look like he's in form, but he's got to have a chance, and he is unstoppable. Thanks, Daniel, Vivek, Matty Beast, all of you that have joined us. Alan, thank you so much for joining us, and hope you have a really good weekend. And as I say, listen to the preview for Sunday's race meeting, and I think I've got a couple of gems there. Have a good one.